All right, again, welcome to the Morning Report, a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, My name is Willie Lawson. I hope that you are great. Again, it is April 20th, and I know it's 420. Yeah, toke up, dude. Yeah, whatever. Just toke up and shut up. Anyway, again, thank you so much. I hope that folks enjoyed the video from yesterday. And we're going to try to continue to do this as much as we can to put a video so you can put a name with a face that you don't like, not just with what we're talking about. Today it's gonna be fun. Today we're gonna talk about we talked about Mad Max out there, Mad Max Waters, um, you know, inciting violence in Minnesota outside of her district. Whenever we talk about turbulence, and whenever there is an action, there is an opposite action, opposite reaction. Now the problem is that she went out there and riled up the crowd and got a lot of the people who are, in that ilk all excited. The problem is that there may be a problem with the trial after we're done here. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Florida. The governor of Florida has signed a anti-destruction of property during rioting act. Basically, it is being touted as an anti-protest bill, but it's not an anti-protest bill. What it is it raises the penalty for property damage and violence during these protests. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll talk about the governor talking about a concept that he has deemed as Fauciism. Golly, it's good living here. I love living in Florida. I love living here. I do. And of course, our friend Grady Judd, the sheriff of Polk County, which is my neighboring county to the east, had some great words for you folks who are trying to move here, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. All right, well, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. All right, well, welcome back. Thank you ever so much. Again, bloomingdays.com, the official florist of the Morning Report, and everything Fight Back Media. Alrighty, and if you guys are looking again for a social media home, and so that sort of Facebook-like, freedomforum.website, I'm on it. Just look for Fight Back Media. Just look for Willie Lawson. I am at freedomforum.website. All right, let's get started with the fun, with the frivolity. Let's get started with the good stuff. All right. We talked about what Maxine Waters did a couple days ago, basically riling up the crowd. And I, it's my thought that Maxine Waters and people like Maxine are desperate, literally desperate. Al Sharpton, desperate to stay relevant inside the woke community. Because what they know is, frankly, they've not done much other than get a check, make some speeches. They've really not done, they've not done much. Donald Trump was a godsend to them because it allowed, them to have something to rail against when they were never, when their own communities were going down the crap can and they really didn't do much or say much about it, right? It wasn't even like these people were bringing home the bacon to their own districts. And that's been part of the deal, with these Congress kidders is just bring home the bacon, just no matter what, have the rest of the country pay for it. So they could bring home programs and dollars to their community. She wasn't really even doing a bunch of that. There was a lot of self worth going on. their own personal net worth was growing and growing and growing. Her and Sister Nancy having a great time up in that area, right? So Trump was really a godsend to them because they gave them something that they could rail against and get people upset about and seem relevant in the woke community. But like I always say, the left, fortunately for the rest of us, always goes. Let me try to hook my headphone. Always goes too far. And her little stunt the other day might have caused more problems than people realize, and might cause more problems in the quote woke community than she had accounted for. Judge Peter Cahill blasted Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat from California, on Monday for her remark Saturday that there should be unrest if the jury fails to convict Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd in Hennepin County, Minnesota. Cahill was responding to a motion by Chauvin's defense lawyers, Eric Nelson, to declare a mistrial after closing arguments because of Waters' comments. He denied the motion, but agreed that Waters' remarks were so egregious that they created grounds for possibly an appeal if Chauvin is convicted of murder or manslaughter. This is what he says. He says, I give you that Congressman Waters may have given you something on appeal that may result in the whole trial being overturned. I'm aware of the media reports. I'm aware that Congressman Waters was talking specifically about this trial and about the unacceptability of anything less than a murder conviction. Talked about being confrontational, but you can submit the press articles about that. This goes back to what I've been saying from the beginning. I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case, especially in a manner that is disrespectful to the rule of law and to the judicial branch and our function. I think that if they want to give their opinion, they should do so in a respectful, and in a manner that is respectful to the Constitution, to respect the co-equal branch of government. Their failure to do so, I think, is abhorrent. But I don't think it has prejudiced this with additional material that would prejudice this jury. A congresswoman's opinion really doesn't matter a whole lot. And I guess it doesn't. So that's why he didn't grant a mistrial. But it could possibly give them, a chance on appeal, and they will. And if Chauvin gets gets convicted, they'll appeal. Definitely give them the chance to get the whole thing thrown out on appeal. You imagine? Wow. Nelson complained that the jury had not been sequestered until Monday's conclusion of the arguments, and it has been exposed to vociferous opinions about the trial. There was a controversy about the fact that one juror lived near Brooklyn Center, where Waters had joined protests over another recent police-involved shooting, and we talked about that on the show a couple of weeks ago. That one of the jurors was afraid for themselves and their families. People knew they were on the jury. People knew where they lived. Are you serious? Chauvin faces charges of second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. So, as it turns out, Waters may have just, stepped her foot in it. And especially if Chauvin gets convicted, and then the whole thing a year later, 2 years later, gets thrown out on appeal. So it would be her that would be responsible for Derek Chauvin going free. At that point, it would be her. It wouldn't be the jury. If the jury convicts him, it basically should be over, right? But because of her actions and the actions of people like Al Sharpton, if he gets convicted and it gets thrown out, the whole thing gets thrown out on appeal. There's no double. There's double jeopardy. So there's no retrial. There's no nothing at that point. It's done, and Chauvin walks free, and it's not the jury's fault, and it's not the judge's fault. This will all go back on the comments last Saturday of Maxine Waters. This is on her. The chance that this would be thrown out in appeal on appeal is all on Maxine Waters. Now I know CNN, MSNBC, LSD, and ABC, NBC, and CBS are not talking about this way. I understand. Heck, not even Fox News is talking about this way. But I'm telling you, the Democrat Party is worried about this. Imagine the progressives where Maxine Waters is from, the hardcore progressives. They know this thing is, they know this too. They know that Grandma Maxine is trying to stay relevant. They know that. They know that already, right? This could cause a ripple, turbulence, or we can hope so. Alrighty, we're gonna take another short break, and we'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. All right. One of the things I get asked most is, where can I get news information that's not slathered down in liberal bias? And it's tough, and it really is tough. Most people thought that they could just read their local newspaper. Well, that wasn't enough, obviously. Or they thought they could just watch, CNN, because CNN was right down the middle, right? It was MSNBC on one side, Fox on the side, and CNN was right in the middle. Or so we were led to believe. But what we found out is that that's not true either. That obviously CNN is hard left and moving harder left. Well, I'll tell you what to do. tbctampa.org. I think is it .org? Yeah, tbctampa.com. Check us out. I'm on the site. So is my friend Tim Bryce and some other good, solid conservatives on the site, bringing you information without the slathering, slobbering liberal bias. It's just the thing. It's just what it is, so you can make your own decision. So check us out, tbctampa.com, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Or you can go to fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, and check out all the links there. And my friend Paul Swanson, Swanson Report, theswansonreport.net, theswansonreport.net. There's a lot, isn't there? We're looking forward to seeing you there. Alrighty, well, let's get back to this party here. Alrighty, thank you again for spending some time with us. Like I said in the open, golly, I love living in Florida. I really, really love living in Florida. I'm gonna tell you a story. A few years ago, when Ron DeSantis was running for governor of Florida, and I actually supported Adam Putnam in the gubernatorial primary. Well, for a couple of reasons. I knew Adam. We had met a number of times. He had been on the program, and Adam's a good old boy from this part of the state, and had done well as Commissioner of Agriculture. I thought he had done well when he was in the U.S. House, and I liked him. And if you meet Adam Putnam, he is super hard not to like. If you don't like Adam Putnam, it's probably you. And when Ron DeSantis showed up, Ron DeSantis was banging the drum. I like Trump. Trump likes me. I like Trump. Trump likes me. And that was his whole campaign. I mean, from what I saw, that was Ron DeSantis' entire campaign, frankly. And but I'll tell you what, through 2020 and during this pandemic, did I say pandemic? I didn't mean to say that. But I have been pleasantly surprised. I've been pleasantly thrilled about how he has his even handling of this whole thing. And He mentioned the other day while he was on with Tucker Carlson that he was not going to say yes to Fauciism. This is a clip of my governor, Ron DeSantis. I did end up voting for him in the general election. Don't get it twisted. This is a clip of my governor, Ron DeSantis, when he was on the Tucker Carlson show yesterday, day before.
Is the fact that there wasn't widespread rioting in the state to people's decision to move here. You've seen a lot of people move here.
It's definitely been a factor, for sure. And I also think the fact that Florida wasn't locked down like these other states, I think the lockdowns, provided an impetus to be able, because people need an outlet to do things. And so I think some of these states like Minnesota, California, I think the fact that they were locked down and had the opportunity to go out and do stuff, I think that added fuel to the fire of what was going on. So I think the fact that we took a hard line on that, people understood Florida as a law and order state, but also that we were open, I think has been a huge factor in people moving to Florida.
So what, obviously you've had a lot of successes, you're a very famous governor. What didn't go according to plan? How did you screw up in retrospect?
Well, I think early on, I was just hungry for data. And so I was looking at South Korea, Italy, and I'm trying to make sense of this virus. It seemed to me that this was something that was risky for elderly people.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like there was much risk in people, not just kids, but even people who were in reasonably good health who were, say, under 50. But I didn't really have the proof of that in Florida. So when they did the 15 days to slow the spread and some of that stuff, we followed that. Whereas I think if I had more data, I would have had the ability to say, wait a minute, why would we need to, close a gym for 2 weeks? I mean, these are younger people going to work out. If you're healthy, you're going to end up dealing with the virus better. And so I think that it took me a few weeks, March and into April, to get enough data to say, okay, we're not doing Fauciism. We're going to make sure our state's open. We're going to get the kids back into school, and we'll just focus our protection on elderly people.
Yeah, we're not doing Fauciism. We're not doing Fauciism, and we haven't. And as it turned out, I love that dude. As it turned out, you saw people doing Fauciism, and you saw what happened. We saw, what happened actually in the state of New York, for example. With positive, with older positive, COVID positive people headed back to long-term care facilities and nursing homes, and the carnage that caused, right? Florida, which has a lot of old people. They used to call St. Petersburg God's waiting room. There's some great pictures, old black and white pictures, and maybe on the video. I'm not promising anything because that seems like work. Maybe I'll show you. Maybe right now there's a picture on the screen of St. Petersburg back in the 40s along Central Avenue with park benches along the street. Lots of people sitting there just chilling. It was deemed God's waiting room. I mean, so there's a lot of old people here. There's a lot of seniors here. But, I've been here since I was 7, so I don't think I count as somebody who came down here to retire. But having a heavily senior population, it was really very, very smart for Governor DeSantis to protect that population first, as it seemed from the data, not the models, the data that he was gathering, that seniors were the most vulnerable, and he was able to do that. And everybody else, if you were reasonably healthy, need to go ahead and get on with their lives. When you quarantine somebody, you do what? You quarantine the people who are sick, and that allows the people who are not sick to go on with life. You don't quarantine people who are well. You don't, right? Since when do you quarantine people who are well? So if somebody gets the flu in your office, all the healthy people have to work from home? That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, that's what Fauciism is. That's what Fauciism is. past 15 days to flatten the curve, 15 days to flatten the curve, 15 days to flatten the curve, right? Beyond that, it was, we are going to quarantine perfectly healthy people. Y'all didn't think that was weird? You really didn't think that was weird? Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird. So there you go. So it's nice to know that Florida is not practicing Fauciism, that we didn't before and we're not now. And also something else that Florida is not practicing. While the entire country is bracing for all hell to break loose in Minnesota, in Minnesota right now, depending on what happens with the Derek Chauvin, George Floyd trial there. Florida is like, we're not having it. Don't bring that crap here. Laws don't stop people from doing stuff because murder is illegal and somebody got murdered yesterday, right? Murder is already illegal. Somebody got murdered yesterday. Stabbing somebody is illegal. Somebody got stabbed yesterday. So laws don't stop people from doing stuff, but they do sort of locate a society. Up until yesterday in Florida, if there was a protest and there was property damage from that protest, that was a misdemeanor in the eyes of the state. Well, as of yesterday afternoon, the governor signed a bill that if there is damage from a protest, like if the protesters start knocking out windows and setting fires and tossing over trash cans and, causing damage, especially damage to private property, that is no longer a misdemeanor. It's a felony. It's a felony where you could potentially lose your right to vote, right? You could potentially lose your right to have a firearm. You could potentially lose rights because you could lose some of your rights from association, because felons aren't supposed to, especially when they're on parole, not supposed to associate with other felons. You got me? So that's been elevated those things have been elevated to a felony. The things that we saw in Kenosha, the things that we saw in New York, the things that we saw in Minneapolis and St. Paul, those, all the crap that we saw this summer, and even some of the crap that we saw here in our own state. Even some of the crap that we saw minutes from where I'm sitting. The gas station that was burned. A freaking gas station. What kind? Y'all gotta hang on with me for a second. What kind of moron sets a gasoline station on fire and stands there and watch it, and to stand there and watch it burn? It isn't like these idiots set the gas station on fire and then ran like hell to get miles away. No. Do you know there's big tanks under the ground there that are potentially like nuclear bombs, where everybody in that area who's close gets killed? Sorry, not bright. Not bright. Super dangerous, not bright. Prayerfully, gladly, none of that stuff happened. And the gas station is rebuilt and operating right now. So you might have seen that in the paper. You might have seen that on TV. That gas station there, right across the street from a theme park, is operating. The CVS there is operating. The most of the businesses that were, not all of them, that were damaged are back. Not all of them. Some of them on over by the mall are not back. So, but that becomes a felony. If they catch you, it's a felony. We've got a great sheriff in Polk County that is one of the more entertaining people that I don't know. You just gotta. People either love this guy or they hate this guy with everything they are. So let's hear from Sheriff Grady Judd of Polk County about leaving your blue in the state where you came from. Because of all of this, people are moving here. People are moving here in friggin' droves. We've got hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people moving to Florida every single day from across the country. And it's what I always say, you hate us because you want to be us. This is our friend Grady Judd.
I've got something I want you to see. This is what we enjoy in Florida. This is the Florida we know and love. This is what our governor, our speaker, our president, this is what all these law enforcement officers and administrators and sheriffs and police chiefs and their officers do every day. They guarantee an environment where you can come here and have fun. Heck, you can even have more fun. Here's another picture. This is the Florida we know and love. We're a special place. And there are millions and millions of people who like to come here. And quite frankly, we like to have them here. So we only want to share one thing as you move in hundreds a day. Welcome to Florida. But don't register to vote and vote the stupid way you did up north. You'll get what they got. There's a reason that this place is fun. There's a reason why we have a 49-year low crime rate. And the same people that don't think we should have an anti-rioting bill or a rioting bill are the same ones that think we ought to let more people out of prison. And where they're doing that, as the governor and our speakers have alluded to, crime goes up. But it's not just crime that goes up, victimization goes up. The people in those states are hurt and killed, and their livelihoods changed, and their children are changed.
Yeah, that idea that it isn't just crime that goes up, it's victimization goes up. There are more victims. And that's always left out of the conversation, isn't it? Always left out of the conversation. The conversation is always just left on who the criminals are. We never talk about who their victims are, who they're stealing from, who they're hitting over the head, the businesses that get burned down. We never concentrate on that. But here in Florida, started concentrating on that. I hope you like what we're doing here. And if you like what we're doing, click that subscribe button. Please click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll know when we post. And again, just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself because we will see you when we see you. Peace.